Hi guys, it's Angie with Fun Endeavors Tie-Dye Lab. Today let's make an ice-dyed romper. The romper was prepped like normal, but I tried not to leave it in the soda ash for a long time, just the 20 or 30 minutes, because it does have some metal on the clasps. If you leave metal in soda ash for too long, you can run the risk of the soda ash damaging the metal. I'm going to do some tall, deep scrunches. So I have some plastic containers which I purchased from the dollar store, and I'm going to place one upside down just so that it keeps it off of the bottom of the container, and one right side up which I'm going to place my romper in. The romper is 90% cotton and 10% linen. To do the tall, deep scrunch effect on this romper, I'm going to use some wiffle balls. That will keep it up off of the bottom of this plastic mesh container. It'll also add some dimension to the romper, which aids in the way the dye moves on the romper. I'm starting with 3 softball-sized wiffle balls, and then I'm going to add in 3 baseball-sized wiffle balls to fill in some of the rest of the area. I really like using wiffle balls for tall, deep scrunches. They hold the fabric up really well, and because they don't collapse under the weight of the ice, they'll keep those folds throughout the entire process. If I just make the folds with my hands and just kind of pull up areas, when I add the ice, it has a tendency to push the folds down, and I don't get quite as much dye movement and flow as I'm wanting. The wiffle balls help keep that dimension. I'm going to start out by adding ice on top of the romper. I want to make sure that I get all the fabric covered with ice. I'm going to randomly sprinkle the dye over the top of the ice. And I'm using sapphire blue, deep space, charcoal gray, shiitake mushroom, and raven, which are all Dharma Trading Company colors. Most of these colors split really well too. So hopefully I end up with some interesting color splits on the romper. I'm using the tall, deep scrunch method on this romper because I want it to have more of a watercolor feel. I want it to be a little softer. After I'm finished sprinkling on the dye, I'm going to add a very small amount of dry soda ash to the top of the dye. Then I'm going to place this container aside and allow the ice to melt. I allowed the romper to process inside for about 12 hours. Then I covered the container and took the romper outside and put it out in the heat where it was over 100 degrees for about 12 more hours. So all totaled, the romper processed for about 24 hours after the ice melted. To rinse the romper, I took it to my utility sink and I began rinsing in cold water. I want to make sure to rinse the soda ash out before I warm the water up. This is also one of the great things about using wiffle balls. If you'll notice, I just have to give them a quick rinse. They don't really soak up or retain any of the dye, so you can use them over and over again. Then I warmed the water up to hot and continued rinsing to rinse out any of the excess dye that didn't bond with the fabric. When the water was running almost clear, I put the romper along with some Dharma's textile detergent into my washing machine and washed it using a hot water cycle. And after the romper was washed and dried, this is what it looks like. Okay, so what do you guys think? I think this one turned out beautiful. I was really excited as I was rinsing it out at how pretty it was. I love all the colors together, and I think all the color splits are beautiful. Like I said, most of the colors that I used are notorious for having great color splits. And that's what I was looking for in this romper. I wanted something that was more of a softer watercolor feel, but with a lot of really cool color variation. And I definitely think I achieved it with this one. I also forgot to mention that when I actually dyed the romper, I turned it upside down, where the front of the romper was down, and I applied the dye to the back side of the romper. I think whatever side of the shirt or the fabric is facing down is the side that looks a little bit more interesting, just simply because that's where I think there's more dye movement. So generally, whenever I do a tall, deep scrunch on any kind of an item, I usually try to put the front side down. If you'll notice when you look at both of them together, the back side looks really cool too, don't get me wrong, but the front side is the one that has the more wispy looks to it. It looks a little more like flowers, or I don't know, it has just a little bit different look. It's not dramatically different, but it just looks a little bit more interesting to me. Sometimes it's a little more noticeable in other items. This one has quite a bit of dye movement all throughout the garment, so you can't see quite as much of a difference between the front and the back, but I still can see some. I really like some of the unexpected colors on this romper too. Like, I didn't add in any aqua, yet I still have like an aqua split and some orangey type colors, a few greens, just various different shades of blues and teal, purpley colors. It has a very purple undertone. And I know a lot of that is coming from the sapphire blue because it tends to have kind of a purpley split, and probably from the raven as well, and probably some from the charcoal. Like I said, all of those colors are really good to have just awesome color splits. I definitely think that the natural colored romper that I bought looks much better after it's been tie-dyed. By the way, if you're wondering about this romper, I purchased it off of Amazon. And I'll put a link down below in the description for this video for where I purchased it, and so that you can find it. There are always a ton of different items on Amazon, and sometimes it's hard to find the exact one that I'm talking about. So there's a link down below. So overall, I really love this romper, and I am so excited to try a few more items kind of like this and see how they turn out. If you guys have enjoyed this video, I sure would appreciate it if you would like it and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a great day.